Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Clout Chasers. My name is Kristian, and I'm joined by.
By the way, episode 7. Ooh.
We're slowly getting in stride. We have to apologize for the technical issues that delayed the previous episode. I hope we will catch our normal stride going forward. Basically, a combination of Hobbies traveling and him getting sick for a very long time.
And honestly, inadequate equipment. So I'll be doing some upgrades
and that as well, to be honest. Yeah. But as I said, we hope that this will just be a passing issue. Anyways, how's your 2 weeks in One Piece TCG?
So yeah, I got to play 2 online events hosted by No Heroes in the last 2 weeks. The best organizer. The first one was a regional, and honestly did not go so well. It left me a bit bitter about the format even. I got into a lot of Black Mirrors, which just ended up being, counter Morias, and ended up losing several games that way and just dropping out. But today was better. We're recording this on Saturday after we both finished the Treasure Cup. I went 8-2, beating several really good players along the way. I was playing Sakazuki, of course, and I got 15th place off of pretty good tiebreakers. Yeah, not much to complain about. I think there was a decent bit of bad RNG in my losses, but there was also some luck in the wins, so it balanced out overall. For the matchups I played, I think 5 Mirrors, 3 Morias, 1 Katakuri, 1 Whitebeard. I think. How about you, Kristian? I know you're dying to share your side.
Well, I'm still fresh. If you would see, my playmate is still right here on my PC. I can even showcase my Dawn. These are what I usually use. Those are golden Dawns, golden sleeves, the best combination. But yeah, we are very, very fresh from the last No Heroes regional. In the first one, I think I ended up being 20th. In the both Treasure Cups, we actually played a lot of creations, and it's always a bummer to.
The team kills.
Yeah, to win against your opponents, against your friends. I mean, but on the other hand, I did lose last week to one of our creation friends, and it's actually kind of bittersweet because you're happy that your friend is doing well. So it's always better to lose to a friend. The other thing I noticed is slowly, as we are getting traction with Patreon and everything, I am getting, especially in the later rounds, people join the table and tell me, "Hello, Kristian. Thank you for the guide and everything. Keep up the good work," and so on. With the crown of that being Alex saying that basically he credits me for getting him to the finals. And spoiler, we played a Gecko Moria Mirror finals today, which I won. So one Treasure Cup in the bag.
So he'll teach you how to get to finals, but not how to beat him in the finals. You can't have everything.
It was a very, very, very clean finals game for me. And that's the only game that you will probably see because we cannot share our recordings of matches across the tournament. But
we both recorded all games in hopes of doing a review session for the patrons, just going game by game. But I contacted the head judge, and we are not allowed to share them at all outside of the judging circumstances. So yeah.
But definitely what I'm finding very, very, very satisfying is meeting people who tell you that you're doing a very good work, that they're happy to be here. They think that they're here because of you, because you help them, you teach them. Those things never go out of style.
Yeah,
whenever I hear,
it feels warm right here.
Yeah. And I mean, in general, whenever you meet an opponent and they're like, "Oh, I know you," and they start talking, it always lowers the pressure from the match. And I always try to be friendly because it helps me and it helps my opponent being more just friendly. And now that we have a podcast that people follow, it happens more often than previously, which I'm enjoying very much. Anyways, previously lost to one of the Croatian boys, and I lost to one Sakazuki. In both games, Sakazuki, even though people often talk about yellow triggers and everything, I really feel like Sakazuki is the deck that can high roll the hardest. If they just keep having things on beat, just boom, 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 removal, Moria, Moria, I don't think that there's a deck in the game that can beat that. And basically in both games, they kept removing 2 or more bodies every turn. Ever since Dawn 6, basically on 6, they had Stage, Rebecca, Hina, Amaru, boom. Yeah, then Moria into Absol.
Luci, yeah. It's been a long day for Kristian. Like, cut him some slack, guys. He'll remember how to speed by the time.
That as well. We've been playing for like 10 hours almost. Anyways,
no, let's not play. Like, No Heroes always does it real fast.
Yeah.
It was like 7.5 hours, maybe 8. So for 10 rounds.
I think it was something like 8.
But point is, we've been at this for the better part of the day.
Yep. And definitely my brain's kind of fried. Anyways, but I still like Moria. I really feel like it's a very, very stable deck. And I showcased that today where I went undefeated and snagged the first place. Not much else to say. I adapted my build to Sakazuki as much as I could. That paid dividends for sure. And the rest of the details will be on the Patreon, as always. And if you have any specific questions, sure, just drop them here, and I'll get back to them. Okay. Oh, there is one thing that I want to discuss. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it, but the week prior, we had once again a situation where
a cheater won.
Yep. Basically, the winner was caught cheating, and it basically really, really severely drops my respect for online events. Like, to have 2 tournaments in a row, to have a cheater, and not to have cheaters caught, but to have a cheater win the whole thing, basically crushing dreams all along the way. I mean, sure, saving grace, they got caught, but it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. And I know we previously discussed that it's a thing that rarely happens, and it's relatively easily caught. You should just be careful. Dude, that last cheat factor, it was insane. Like, it took me so long to see what's happening in that video. If that happened to me, I would never catch it, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't catch it. Once it was pointed out to me, it was easy to see. Like, when you know where you're supposed to look and like what's going to happen, sure. But like, yeah, that was pretty scary. Like, people have gotten really, really good at cheating and doing so in a way that's not really noticeable on webcam, unless you do some like closer inspection. Hopefully, these people get permabanned, and like at least there's some like heavy punishment deterrent to not cheat, because yeah.
So, silver lining, they got caught, but at that moment I was very, I don't know, definitely my heart sunk, because the biggest part is I wouldn't never catch that cheating. Like, sure, when people, we even had I played Sebastian Leinhardt. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. He won a Treasure Cup I'm not even sure when. Anyways, we start talking, joking, and in the end I go for a game, and he says, "Is this how you do it?" And he just throws his hand in the trash and says, "I countered the attack." So, like, sure, some cheating is very obvious, and like moving cards around, but that cheating was exceptional, and yeah, made me really, really worried and wary for the events going forward. Hopefully, there's nothing in this treasure cup. We didn't hear anything. You usually hear something close to the tournament ending. Nothing so far. So, hey, one online tournament without an incident.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case. The first online OPO6 tournament in Europe won by a non-cheater today, Kristian. So, yeah.
Sure.
Just, if you want to, like, these cheaters winning online events, so if you want to, like, stop it, just win yourself. It's so simple. That's the advice from Kristian. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It generally reflects poorly upon the entire community. I've had, ironically, some friends from Yu-Gi-Oh! Laugh and mock about the cheating situations in One Piece, which is, like, really funny because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, like, cheater heaven. I'm still in favor of online events simply due to accessibility. I believe games should have, like, accessible tournaments. But yeah, I hope the cheaters are, like, swiftly and very, very draconically dealt with. Like, make an example of them.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, definitely, this left a mark for me. Like, it'll take a lot for me to change my opinion, because 2 tournaments in a row, the winner is caught cheating. Like, and you're playing 10 rounds. 10 rounds. Anyways, so hopefully this will slowly die down. We were actually very hopeful that this is not gonna happen again, right? Last time we talked about it, we really felt like we moved away from those things in online tournaments, only to be proven very, very wrong when 2 tournaments back-to-back were winners winning the whole, cheaters winning the whole thing. So, anyways, don't ramble too much about it. We definitely want to mention it. It's a sad day for One Piece community, for sure. But we hope that we are turning it around.
Yeah, today is a happy day. Today is the day that Kristian got his, like, 3rd times the charm. He lost 2 finals so far in Barcelona and
I thought it's super funny. I just keep losing the finals. But yeah, got one. There's a saying in Croatia. Actually, it's the same saying in English. 3rd time's the charm. So 3rd time I did it.
It sounds a lot nicer in Croatian, though.
Yeah, I agree, because it rhymes.
It's just sreća.
Yeah. Okay. And now the next section, questions from the audience. And we once again have a question from our master of questions, Stanley himself. He asks, what other games do you guys play or hobbies do you enjoy to take your mind off of One Piece, and do you ever feel burnout? Why don't you take the lead with this one?
So for me, I guess the other card games, we already talked about this a bunch, but I do play Flesh and Blood. Still do very much enjoy the game and try to play it every week. Other than that, like, I used to play other video games, the online ones such as League of Legends, but I've stopped lately, not really missing it. So yeah, it's just like, it feels really good to go and play Flesh and Blood local and just have fun with some of my favorite heroes, and with it's a very small but competitive core of players, and it's still a very much unique game system in a trading card game. So it always, like, feels fresh and enjoyable to play. And yeah, I definitely do, like, when I'm feeling, like, too tired and, like, frustrated with One Piece, because there are times, especially this format, where Gekko Morias do all the talking, like the 8 costs. I'm just like, screw this, I'm gonna go play some Flesh and Blood. But lately, they banned a lot of my favorite heroes in Flesh and Blood, so it's less relaxing than it used to be. But yeah, it's still, like, my go-to when I want, like, some classical card gaming. Other than that, like, not really much on the hobby side. Because, yeah, sometimes you do get burnt out. Like, you cannot grind relentlessly.
Quickly, before I continue answering the question, some of you might notice that I actually moved my setup upstairs. And
I magically turned on the light.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people were very emotionally connected to the horse painting that was previously behind me. So if you kindly would type F in the chat for the horse painting.
Horsey?
Yeah. It's not gonna join us on this cloud chasing journey anymore, but it will remain in our hearts. Back to the question. You can probably see it behind me, and I guess I'll show you a little bit around the room. So,
oh, actually, I know what room this is. Yeah, I didn't realize you were upstairs.
I'm not sure how. No, I cannot take you, but maybe I can. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Next to me is the bigger.
Just grab your phone and like grab a panorama photo of your like the entire room.
Okay, so, sure. Yeah.
I can just edit it in. It's going to be. Yeah.
You just put it in via magic, but I'm a very very big lover of board games. They're basically my main love. One Piece is great, and I really enjoy it, and especially the competitive and really going deep into it. But with board games, you so often get to experience something new and fresh. And I still remember when One Piece was new and I was discovering it. I really enjoyed those first parts when you are dipping your toes into a system and trying to understand how the game works. I really enjoyed that part. That's why I also enjoy new sets the most. So when a new set drops, trying to build, trying to see how to adapt to the meta and so on. Anyways, board games, always and forever. Like some hobbies you move out of, but board games have been with me for 20 years, and they're here to say I enjoy them immensely. Other than that, as I'm still doing some consulting work as a game designer, I still make it a habit of whenever a new game drops and it gets at least an 85 on Metacritic, I will play it at least 4 hours. That's my rule in life. Anyways, yeah. So whenever something drops and it's highly regarded, I will play it whether I like it or not for a decent chunk of time, just to feel what's happening with video games in the whole sphere.
Oh, yeah, I guess another thing. This is not very. It's just consuming media, right? But yeah, I do watch like movies and TV shows.
Yeah. Of course, we are heavily into.
But I wouldn't consider that a hobby. Just like obviously, we are normal people. We watch TV and read and
we discussed anime before.
Listen to music. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and we obviously watch anime. We are weebs, as is evident by us being One Piece fans.
Regarding burnout, I feel like I'm slightly older than Herva, so maybe it's that, but I definitely feel burnout more than Herva does. Not sure why that happens. I think I maybe play more than him, especially I grind server ranked on Discord, right?
Yeah.
You
definitely have like 5 times more games than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remembered another thing. You can see the Concord there. And some other Lego sets which are a bit too far back. So.
Oh yeah, we have brothers. You can see there in the background Herva's bonsai tree.
Is yours in green? Oh, yours is in green configuration.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mine's in the cherry blossom one. But the Concord is the real killer on the shelf.
Anyways, definitely. Like today, I wake up 9 a.m., get on Discord, Ivan, one of our locals who was also playing in the tournament. And we start talking, and both of us say, like, dude, I'm already tired. We didn't play a single round. We've been playing One Piece for... It feels like it doesn't stop. Like I remember once when we were discussing this, I told him, dude, I definitely dream about One Piece from time to time. It's been definitely life-consuming, for sure. So, yeah, for me, more than a hobby, more than a job. And the feeling of... another way to put it than burnout is present with me for a while now. I think a lot of it, why I'm pushing through, is because I really found a sweet spot with Gecko Moria. Like, the deck... I haven't felt so in tune with the deck since Whitebeard / Zoro days. Yeah, so that's my sister's fiance congratulating me on the win. It's that fresh. Anyways, yeah, burnout, yes. Hobbies, yes. Okay, and with that, let's get to the main topic of today's podcast, which is continuing EB01 set review.
And we'll see how far we get in, because last time we took our time.
Strap on in, get some snacks, and enjoy the ride. We last stopped at green cards, right?
Yeah, we finished the red ones, and now we move on to the green.
Okay, Harua, take it away.
Alright, so the first green card we have is a super rare. It's Cavendish, 5 cost 6k, 1k counter, types Supernovas and Beautiful Pirates, the latter of which is not very relevant. And the effect on play or when attacking, if your leader is Supernova, and you have no other Cavendish characters, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So yeah, while I think we shouldn't talk too much about like really bad cards, we probably shouldn't talk too much about really good cards as well, because this is a card that's obviously good. It requires specific... it has those like specific limitations. You need to be a Supernova leader, but most of the notable green leaders so far are Supernovas. So the Red-Green Law, the Useless Kid, the upcoming Bonnie. And what it effectively makes him is, on the turn you play him, a 3 cost 6k that can potentially refund you Dawn every turn you play him afterwards. So that's already like really good math. You're playing a 3 cost 6k, but with potential down the line. So when you compare this to like a card such as Denjiro from OP01, the 5 cost 7k, you had to attach a Dawn, swing, and then you restand 2 Dawn. This basically does it on play for free and then has potential to do it more. The fact that he does it on play already gives him a solid amount of playability in the current meta, just because we are in a very removal heavy meta. Anything with on play attached is immediately like going to be higher on the scale of good effects, and then everything else is a bonus. So in a sense, in a deck that likes to either go really aggro or use those extra Dawn to swarm, the fact that he has it both on play and when attacking gives him kind of a Kuzan feel, where he's already really good on play, and then he becomes like a target that needs to be removed from the board before he starts amassing like critical amounts of value. So yeah, in my opinion, a really, really good card that's definitely going to have several major meta decks attached to it in the future. Disgusting altar though. Disgusting altar.
He's stepping his beautiful pirate side. Several things. First, while being a 3 cost 6k, he's kind of hiding that fact by being a 5 cost, and I'm gonna mention it on some other cards, but having a higher cost is actually pretty good, because at this point in the game, the cost of the card is super important, because all the removal is kind of focused around the cost of the card.
Well, the cost, yeah.
So this actually benefits from it, because sure, you get the Dawn back, but it's still a 5 cost, making it somewhat harder to remove. Bear in mind, if you just spend those 2 Dawns to swing, the card is... Like, for example, if you play Cavendish and you use the 2 Dawn for, I don't know, the Dawn to swing or something, it's basically a 5 cost 6k Perona. Like, fine. Basically, for this card to really pull its weight, I'm guessing you have to develop 2 bodies, essentially.
Or just get really good Dawn attachment on curve effects.
Exactly. Or you're activating some Dawn attach abilities, or you can get Dawn back on your developed turns, which are kind of awkward. For example, especially 10 cost. If you're playing the 10 cost Dofi, this enables you to actually have Dawn up for either events or abilities of leaders or cards.
Yeah. Mainly for one leader is going to be very relevant.
Yeah. Donkey Hood cards and Bonio as well, right? Although it does feel kind of anti-synergistic, because if you play Tenko's Dofi, like, what are you going to use Bonio ability on? Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, card with a lot of potential. A very strong card. But it's not like... You really need to use it well. And using it well is playing it, and then those Dawn that you got back really need to do something. And not
it's
just...
kind of comparable.
And if you just swing 7 with your leader, card's fine.
Yeah, if you want a comparison piece, like the 5 cost purple kid is kind of like, you get the Dawn back, but what do you do with the Dawn that you get back is sort of a good evaluation of whether the card is being...
The blocker kid, right?
Yeah, the one that gives you Dawn back when you minus Dawn. So, like, if you just spend that extra Dawn to attack, it's like... It's very similar to this, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, that card is actually providing you value because it's ramping you, right?
And it's a blocker.
And it's a blocker. So, yeah. Anyways, Cavendish, great card. But...
Yeah, disgusting altar, though.
I still think that the raw power is not that high. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Definitely strong card. But the pure power is not there, for me at least.
I was thinking 8. I really like these flexible cards that, just have a lot of potential to be used and just sneak in, like, silently raise the power level of the whole deck. In any case, let's move on so that we do not spend too much time on green.
Now this card, I'm very, very pleased with this card. Kozuki Hiyori is actually, finally, getting a good card. Because, that card from... We don't talk about that card. Anyways, she's a 4 cost, 0 cost, 4 cost, 0k, 1k counter card. Has an activate main, you may charge this card, charge this character, play up to one of your Land of Wano type characters with cost 5 or less, other than Kozuki Hiyori from your hand, then draw a card. 2 things this card does. So first of all, it kind of accelerates Dawn, right? You basically get a discount of 1 if you can hit a 5 cost. The problem with all these cards is, like, let's say you draw 2 of them and you don't see a target. Like, on one hand, it makes your deck almost more efficient because these cards cantrips basically they increase the probability of you seeing the good cards. It's almost like you have a 46 card deck, right? Because the Hyoris will draw. But you will not be able to use them always, right? A good thing that they have a counter. But as I was testing Odin, and we saw some gameplay from OPO7. I mean, actually I didn't see it, but people sent it to me. Actually, and it's happening, Hrvoje. One of our Diamonds in the Rough might be a meta staple. You're My Samurai works extremely well with this card. You would play Hiyori. You just need one other body. It can be a Searcher. Ideally, it's Searcher. But whatever other body, you play Hiyori. You rest Hiyori and that other body. You draw 2 cards. And then you pop Hiyori. That's such a feel-good combo. Like, dreams are made of that stuff. Like you'll try it once or twice, and you'll be like, I want my every deck to feel like this. It's pretty cool. Hyuri, like, I mean, on the other hand, I don't think the card is that strong, but it's so sweet to play. Anyways, Hyuri, I would give her, once again, I think she's a 7. The limit us to Land of Wano is a big factor, but the power is there. Like, you get a discount, you get a temporary body that you can play around with. I'm very pleasantly surprised by this card.
Yeah, I agree. Like, obviously, as soon as I saw the Perona build with Vano, I was like, damn, okay, I really want to try this. Not just because it had Samurai in it. Like, I love that card, but just the entire deck, the entire package looks very cohesive and very fun. And this card is a part of it, like the combos that the deck does with Moria, and then using this card to play like Ryuma or something from hand is really nice. But I just genuinely like this type of design, where it has the room to cheat out value. You could go to the extremes and play this in like Green Kinemon, and then play this on like turn 2 going first, and then get out a 5 cost on your basically second turn, while still staying equal in cards, like just fully cheating out Dawn value. But even without that, just like getting out the 4 cost is like, you're cycling through your deck. That's such a strong, like fundamentally strong ability. It's part of why Sakazuki has been the best deck in OPO5, and is either the best or the second best in OPO6, like depending on how you place him with Moria. That, yeah, just there's very little to complain about this card. It has that basic synergy you need to satisfy, but if you do, you're kind of golden. So as the pool of Land of Wano targets grows in the future, in both green and other colors, because Hyuri is not color locked, this card will see more and more play and become more and more relevant. So yeah, just a fantastic card. I agree, somewhere in 7 out of 10 range. Brimming with potential, waiting for new, stronger targets, but already good and playable. So yeah, it's a double thumbs up.
How about next card?
The next card is... this is the altar. Yeah, the next card is the Film Sanji, so Film Straw Hat Crew, 4 cost 5k, 2000 counter, with the effect of 1 Dawn attached to your turn. This character gains 1000 power for each of your 3 rested Dawn cards. So first of all, like, the 2Ks are always going to be playable depending on their typing. There's not much to be said on that topic. Like, even the worst 2Ks, such as Scratchman Apu, the original one, like, he's still gonna see play, because we got the better Scratchman Apu, the 1 cost in EB01. But like, if you want a green Supernova 2K, then you're just you're gonna run 8 of the Scratchman Apu, is what I'm saying. So if the 2K is like well typed, it's already going to see play. What Sanji has is what we always appreciate about 2K counters. He has the playable stat line. He's 4 cost 5K, so you can actually play him down on the board, and he could be a relevant threat. And with his ability, he can be actually up to, I think, 10K, 9K? Is it? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you give him 1 Dawn and he gets +3, so 9K.
Well, I guess, yeah, he gets the 1 cape from the Dawn. So he can effectively be 4 cost 8k on the board. So 9k with the Dawn that you actually give him, which makes him a relevant attacker as well. But it's primarily, I think, he's a film 2k, so he has that synergy with the entire film package, especially the Uta leader, where this is immediately going to see play in the meta. You'll just add film 2k number 5 to 8. You have the choppers, now you also have this, which is better than Chopper, but they're both films, so we're just gonna run both. And obviously anything that runs the film package could include this, including the green-purple Doflamingo, which isn't as popular, and so on. So yeah, just a solid all-around card, a 2k with a good stat line that we love to play, and gets passing grades. It's like 6 out of 10 tier.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Like, auto-include in a lot of decks, for example, Uta is so pleased to see this card. The only thing I kind of like this design. We'll talk sometimes maybe in the future about a card which is using this, but I really like this angle of rewarding you for developing and then doing something with that, right? Because it makes sometimes for an interesting puzzle during your turn. Like, what can you do to spend on, and then do things like you're not gonna see Sanji on the board often, but you will not lose if you have to play Sanji, which is a sign of an excellent 2K counter. So yeah, I agree with the 6. Next card is Crutchman Apu.
I just mentioned him, yeah.
Who is a 1 cost, 1K, 2K counter, Supernova, a very important tag, and on Air Pirates, currently unused. On play, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. And whenever you evaluate 2Ks, as we previously discussed when we were discussing Sanji and some other ones, you basically have to evaluate them in their own world, right? In the world of 2Ks. And in the world of 2Ks, situationality is something you really like, as in card which is very useful in a very specific situation. Because in general, 2Ks are best used for countering, right? And you often keep them later in the game. And if they're situational, better yet, if they help you win the game during your final turns, those cards are the bomb. That's why we think that Machina is probably the strongest 2K, even though, personally, I still think that Perona takes that crown. But Machina showed us that being a 2K, which actually has some situational but very potent effect, is invaluable. And that's what Scratchman Napu is. If he enables you a lethal by tapping blocker, which we'll see, we're actually getting some pretty cool low-cost blockers. So the time of low-cost blockers might be back. And especially once Sakazuki leaves and there's no such thing as super easy removal. I think that they might be on the rise. So, I mean, the power level of this card is kind of hinged on how many low-cost blockers there are in the format. But with all that said in mind, like I'm hard pressed to give this card any less than an 8. It's a great 2K counter.
Yeah, so I agree. So how do you recognize good 2Ks, or what are generally the two categories of good 2Ks? Well, the one that I talked about with Sanji, they're a relevant body. Like they just you can play them on board and use them to like contribute to board development, actual fighting for control of the game. And the other one, the one that's been around since the game began, the very cheap, very playable one. So like the 1 costs. So Otama, Maki no Tsuru, the Buena Festa, the Otama that's coming in OPS 7. All these cards which are 1 cost 2K with a relevant effect. They're by default insanely strong for their typing, especially when they have a relevant search type such as Apu with the Supernova tag. So by default, they have the ability to possibly win your game on the spot. Obviously, this also has some like intercolor synergies with black, so maybe with like Isha leader or Perona leader. But it's just like sugar on top. The main thing is like he can make cheap blockers irrelevant at basically no cost. So yeah, I agree. Not sure. Yeah, probably 8 out of 10 is fair. Yeah, like between 7 or 8, but I'm not going to nitpick. It's just a good card overall.
There is one little thing I want to discuss here regarding the design of 2Ks, and that is, by the nature of the game, as you keep them long in hand, and the fact that you can sometimes brick with them, I'm actually kind of interested in, and I think it would be very potent, how would a 10 cost or a 9 cost or an 8 cost 2K card look like? Because I would be kind of interested in that in my deck building. As in, you use them to counter, but when you're low in hand size, and you kept the 2K counters, to have a relatively impactful card, of course it's going to be weaker than its counterparts with 1 or 2Ks, with 1K or non-counter, and actually, I have an inkling that they might never go that route, that we might never see a very high-costed 2K. Simply because I feel like it kind of breaks the concept of 2Ks. Anyways, something to think about, definitely. If you see sometimes down the line OPO10 or something, 10 cost 2K, you'll see me on the front seat.
We already have a 6 cost in OPO7, so what's a few costs more?
Anyways, next card is Bingo.
Yeah. So Bingo is Land of Wano, 1 cost, 0 power, 1k counter. Activate main, you can rest this character, KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 1 or less. And here I actually need to check if what another card does, because it does sound very familiar. There's the little Doffy from, I believe, OPO4.
Mm-hmm. I think he kills himself to KO 2 cost.
Okay, so he trashes himself. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. It's a very similar card then. It's also 1 cost, right? But with different typing. Yeah, in general, this is a decently playable card, but only in decks, which can reduce costs.
Yes.
So only in green-black. It has potential there. It's just like that type of removal where you just rest to KO something at no additional cost is, I think, very underrated. I think like the Sweeper Kobe from STO8, I think, is one of the more underrated cards that whenever it's actually has a chance to be good, like, it can be the premium way to like set up a removal loop that your opponent has to out. So like if you already have a Kuzan on board, or you have just like a Rebecca Hina in hand or something to set this up, this can just go a long way in helping you keep the board clear at very little cost. It would be relevant in combination with Black Mainly because of Black Moria being a low cost target. So I mean, it's nothing special of a card overall. Like it has like the barely relevant tag, but you know it's playable. Maybe worth experimenting with a little bit. Perhaps in the upcoming Wano Perona with the Samurai build. So yeah, if I have to give it a grade, I'd say like 4 out of 10. You know, slightly below average.
I would go slightly higher. I would give it a 5. You hit the nail on the head there. The most comparable card would be the Forecast Kobe, and that card was quite playable. Here, his reach is 1 less, and it has to be rested, which is a lot of hoops you kind of have to go through, right? On the other hand, dude, there's a rested, Moria, and you just go Eruption, Ice Age, this dude, and now there's this dude on board that you have to out, which maybe you cannot if I cleared your...
Actually, 5 out of 10 is, yeah. The fact that you have to out him afterwards,
yeah,
so he doesn't repeat it, yeah, elevates him slightly.
I think that part definitely makes the card. Anyways, kind of inconspicuous, but in cool design. Will never shatter anyone's mind, and will never be like a showstopper, but he actually might find use in some decks. Oh, we always say that removal is the strongest thing you can do in this game, and he's a low-cost removal. Like, that has to be worth something, right? Okay, so we agree on a 5. Next one, a very boring card. It's a Bueno. A 2-cost, 2000 power, 1k counter blocker. He has typing of film, and has one of the weirdest arts.
And Cypher Pull.
At least for me. Sure, and Cypher Pull. There's no reason to talk about these cards. I think they've been power crept for a while now, especially with the Rosinante blocker, right?
Yep.
And the new yellow blockers, which are kind of insane. So for this to matter, the typing has to pull a lot of weight.
So green Uta, and that's it.
3-4 out of 10 because like blockers are a thing, especially if removal is weak on the weaker side, which it hasn't been for quite a while. It has the typing, and it's actually in the typing, especially the green Uta, right? The starter Uta, can use blockers very efficiently, right? She can get a lot of cards. She can acquire a lot. She has a lot of life. Yada yada yada. What I'm trying to say is, a very okay implementation of this, which is already subpar. Like, blockers are a thing, sure, but more than 4 out of 10, I cannot give it to Bluena.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go to the next card. We're spending too much. Oh, next card is a vanilla with the Land of Wano type, 5 cost. Yeah, nice that Wano gets vanilla. I wish this was printed OP1, but yeah, let's just move on.
We were discussing about one thing of 5 cost and vanilla back in OP1, and it only took a year.
Yeah, Off-White is 7 Warlords of the Sea / Don Quixote Pirates event, 2 cost. It's a counter. Up to one of your leader or character cards gains plus 4,000 power during this battle. Then we'll get top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Don Quixote Pirates character, and add it to your hand. Place the rest on the bottom or of your deck in any order. So yeah, has a search incorporated for the relevant type. Obviously, support for green, purple, Doflamingo, as he's always going to have the 2 Don up. And generally, if you're expecting your opponent to be on the type of deck that attacks and pressures you with attacks which are not just 5 or 6k like near exacties, then this is like a very solid counter that replaces itself in hand, effectively for free in purple green Doflamingo. I think it's just very locked in to that specific deck and leader for now, because other synergies are not going to be as relevant. Like, no other deck that can restand Don is going to be running Don Quixote Pirates engine. Overall, yeah, just I would say one of the better counter cards. But as far as two cost counter events go, the Flamingo probably doesn't even consider this his first choice because of the potential of ramp from Thunder Bagua. And Spiderweb has a lot of potential. Yeah, I guess it would require more testing. Overall, a pretty solid card. Like, it's a counter that replaces itself. Like, assuming you hit, which is like Lava of Mellow, but by default, without the restriction. So, yeah, all around a solid card. Events are kind of weak right now, so I would give it probably a 5 out of 10. Yeah, what do you think, Kristian?
Oh, I think just to jump to the rating, I think it's at least a 6, maybe borderlining on a 7. The effect is, in general, pretty strong. Like, having a relatively strong counter, which also replaces itself, is like drawing cards in this game is great. The problem is, yes, the meta hasn't been so kind to counter events. That's for sure. There's 2 things I need to discuss here. One is the three deep searchers, basically your off-whites, your brand news, your Impel Downs, your Germa Castle, whatever. Sure, they are searchers, but they basically root you into a typing, right? So to play this card, you're basically committing to playing something like 20 Don Quixote Pirate character cards. That's a steep cost.
Wait, just 20? That's so low. That's already...
Those are the numbers that Moria runs for his brand news. And
but you complain about brand new whiffing a lot. Just
I am, and I'm doing my best to up that count, and it's something I did for this tournament. I think I ended up on 21, which is an 83% chance to hit. Anyways, so that's one thing. Whenever you see search 3, that means, okay, I have to be super deep into that typing. Other thing is, of course, it's the most natural fit with green, purple Doflamingo. The thing with that deck is you get the free Dawn. you get a free done. So it's like use it or lose it, right? And this is the perfect use it or lose it. Like you swing 5, sure, off-white replaces itself. On, I don't know, turn whatever. On your first turn, you swing 5, I'll counter with this. Because I have the free dawn, and I get the card back. I even search the card. I maybe find something to fit my curve, right? So, all in all, considering the strength of searching, the synergy with Don Quixote Flamingo, I would give it like 6.5, I would say. I would be hard-pressed to give it a 7, but I think it's a super playable card. Did I convince you?
I mean, slightly, but it's like so locked into one leader that it's very... That type of design is just very uninteresting, so...
Fair.
I don't really care about when it's just like one leader on bust. At least for now. It might become very relevant in the future if we get like a sugar leader or like... I guess there's the Rosinante as well, but he doesn't really rely on the Don Quixote package. Yeah, 6 is probably a fair grade, but I'm also a hater of 2-cost events, so...
No, that's completely fair. Like, I would also settle, especially in this meta, on a 6. Okay. Next card is Chambers, which is a 1-cost Supernova Hard Pirates event coming to you from our boy Law. It says if your leader has Supernova type, so that doesn't have to be Law, but it's probably Law. Return up to one of your characters to its owner hand, so any character. And play up to one character with a cost of 2 or less from your hand that is a different color than the returned character. And the trigger is basically activating the effect. Okay, so first the trigger probably doesn't matter, forget the thing. Now, how does this card ever do anything? And the thing is, you kind of want to abuse the fact that you're... you're getting plus cards from this, right? That you are basically replaying searchers, right? And then the cool part is, like, the jokes write themselves. You can be like, play Machina, use Machina, swing with something, Chambers the Machina, play a green card, which is a searcher, and so on and so on. So, what's the math here? Excuse me. You're paying 1 event, you're losing a card. So, sure, you can get the card back easily. But is it worth spending 1 Dawn just to spin the wheel? I find it hard to believe. It's a card with non-counter. I just don't see the math behind the wheel, right? It's just not something that I think you're gonna wanna spend your deck slots. And the deck it works best in is Law, which is a very tight deck. Like, it has a lot of very synergistic cards that you don't wanna cut. So, all in all, some potential, not a lot, at least in my opinion. 4 to 5. Let's give it 4.5.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that, once again, I would compare it to Hiyori from earlier. Depending on future design, it could really become something really broken, really insane. What currently limits it is, first of all, it doesn't say it directly, but it's a dual color leader card. You have to swap for a character of a different color.
Makes sense.
So it's kind of like the Revolutionary Army triggers or the 4-cost ulti. So yeah, it's very locked into dual color leaders, and what you need to make good use of this is, first of all, you need to have something you want to play on the board for like immediate on-play value, and then you need something of the other color that you want to play down the board and get immediate value there. So an example of something that would be nice is to play down Otama and swap Otama out for a Searcher, because you get like the debuff and you basically get the return for free. But the issue is, all the really good targets in red green raw would already be red. It would be the Searchers that, notably Dadan being the 2 cost, so you get like the maximum value cheat from there. But she's also red, so you're forced to play out either like a blocker, which just loses your power straight up, or because you could just play the blocker over Otama and have some other.
Well, I actually have to stop you. There is one thing, and that is both me and Hub have actually played quite a lot of Law back in the day, and this actually enables you to spam Bonnie Search.
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that, because that's the other green target. Or you have to play the Bonnie Searcher, where you just get equal value, but then you're still paying a Dawn to get the actual search. So it's not like maximum efficiency like Dadan, but if there's ever a green equivalent to Dadan, then this becomes a lot better, because you have like red. You already have a bunch of red good targets with on plays, but what you need is like good green targets. So yeah, it's just basically, can you abuse the searchers enough? It's almost like Whiteout or White. What was the name of the? Off-White, yeah. In that it's currently basically locked into 1 leader, and yeah, it has a lot of like potential for that leader specifically. But at least in this card's case, you can say that with like an abundance of future support, it's going to become much better. And yeah, I mean, I would probably give it a 5 out of 10. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, because if you think about it, and if that's the biggest value it can be, then it's kind of funny. If you think about it, so you pay 1, you pay Bonnie, you search with Bonnie, you swap the Bonnie with the Dadan, okay? So for 2, you could have played the Dadan, and this effectively makes Chambers a 1-cost search.
Just say shambles. Like nobody knows why they use the French word. Like they localize it as chambres, but
it basically makes it a 1-cost search. Search whatchamacallit. Search supernovas. The same event as the ones from the Brother starter deck, same as Sabaody and so on, right?
Yeah.
Which is, as we said when we discussed those are fine, but only if you are really, really looking for specific pieces. And Law, I mean, sure, Blocker Law is one of the most important cards in that deck, but are you really looking for that? And only that, you basically have to have the 2 cards in hand to be able to turn this into a moderately playable card. Like, if you're doing that deck building this way, I don't want to play with you. Okay, sure. A 5 out of 10. Next card is yeah boy. Some of you who are turning in didn't know that back in the old times I was a big Magellan enjoyer. I really enjoyed that leader and that whole package. Anyways, Hannibal is a newcomer to the Impel Down leader package, currently numbering 2. He's a blue-purple leader, sporting the usual for life. And he has a kind of weird ability. At the end of your turn, you can return one of your Impel Down type characters with cost 2 or more back to your hand, and you get active Dawn. Now, the first thing is, end of turn is the worst time that you can get a Dawn, right? Especially if it's active. The cool part is you're essentially just spending Dawn to get ramp. That's not good, not bad. The joke is that you can go second. On 2, you can play Domino, right? The 2-case blocker. You can immediately jump to 5 and then start doing something. Maybe play immediately Magellan on 5. Also, one of the strongest interaction here is, and you have to talk about interactions here because this card is very like connected to what's the card that you played and did you get anything out of it. The cool part is you can play the Little Sadi, the 3-cost 2K that cheats out 4-cost, which was always a great play because you cheated Dawn, but not only that, it was a somewhat relevant attacker being a 3K, right? Here, not only you get a 1-cost discount on the Jailer Beasts, which are all pretty decent cards. They have some relevant text, and all of them, when they die, they give you a Dawn, which is pretty not bad. Definitely worse in the I button the cooler stuff Sakazuki meta. But in general, if I'm going first, on 3 I play Little Sadi, and I get her back. So on 3, I got a ramp and a 4-cost, a pretty good 4-cost unit. Like, that sounds pretty strong, right? The problem is, those colors really do suck, my man. Like, being on 4 life and not having a bonkers crazy high-cost card like Gecko Moria is... Like, what can compare to Gecko Moria now? What, you're gonna play your 9-costs Kaido? I mean, maybe later when we get to the 9-cost Lin and stuff like that, some really strong high-end stuff. But whenever we're looking at the purple ramp, we really want to see some payoff. And currently, there's not a lot of payoff. So, there's some cool tricks you can do with Hannibal. The strongest one being, as I said, the Little Sadi. And then again, you kind of hate your leader ability being very tied to you seeing a very specific card early in the game, basically in your opening hand, right? You always hate to see that. Sure, there are searches in that typing, namely Hannibal. And also...
And Buggy.
Yep.
And the Impel Down stage.
But sadly, none of them are 2-cost. That would kind of be crazy, right? If you could have played a searcher and get it back and get it done. Anyways, pretty strong ability. You're ramping, you get stuff back, especially if that card has any kind of pretty cool one-play ability. Like, I was even considering how crazy it is to just play a Magellan, take Magellan back to hand. Next turn, play Magellan, take Magellan back to hand. And you just...
Very crazy.
Terrorize your opponent.
Yeah, I would say pretty crazy.
I agree. I don't think it's wrong. I think it has some glaring flaws, namely some good purple cards. I'm kind of baffled that Queen remains one of the strongest purple cards, and it's pretty mid compared to today's power level.
You would not just trash talk Queen? Nah, not on my way. No, you are right though about the general sentiment of Queen somehow still being among the best purple cards.
Yeah. So as a leader, pretty cool, pretty strong. The card pool, I feel like it's still not there, but I actually have. Sure, I had a lot of hope for Odin. I actually have more hope for Hannibal. I think he has far more potential than Odin. Don't expect to see him soon, but definitely expect me to cook with him until we cook something. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I hate that the leader ability is tied specifically to impel down cards. It closes off a lot of potential synergies that the leader could have had with like generic blue and purple support, regardless of their typing. Forcing it into impel down cards specifically means you have to play a decent number of them to see them early game, because early game is when the ramping matters, when you want to see the ramp ability. And then, for some reason, it's end of turn, and that's the part that really doesn't sit well with me. I think it should have been activate main, just because you want to ramp ASAP to hit the curve sooner, so if you're just... Like, delayed ramp is almost not a ramp, in a sense. depending on how you are able to ramp. Because let's be real, his colors, there's no synergy in them. Like the only synergy that's like supposed to happen here is because Impel Down stage is not color locked, so you can search both the blue and the purple Impel Downs, whereas the one cost searchers, both Buggy and Magellan, are locked to their respective colors. But between the colors themselves, there is no synergy. Like we already have the Rage Leader in the meta, and she doesn't actually benefit from blue in any reasonable sense. She's just a purple deck with a few blue decks. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's a purple deck that runs a few cute blue cards that help the deck otherwise. Like, Kaya lets her filter to find the stage or set up rangers, and there's Pudding to just punish overextension from the opponent. And a lot of those synergies are by default denied to this leader because you cannot play Pudding and put Pudding back, which, by the way, would be a pretty cool interaction and a solid use for the card. You have to play something Impel Down, and as Kristian said, Little Sadi is probably the best something that you can play, just because you still get board presence. Like, the issue with this is you're giving up board presence by returning something. So that something you return has to be, like, inconsequential to the board, and that means it either has to be a good searcher, or just enable swarm, because all the other pieces of swarming, like the blue package that's like 7 cost Ivankov and stuff, it's too expensive to be worth returning. And the same is for anything you just play for its own play, like Magellan. You cannot return a 5 cost unit to your hand and then do it again next turn. You're giving up so much value just to get one extra done. So it has to be cheap, it has to be inconsequential, and that's currently difficult criteria to fill. It might be relevant in the future, but yeah, for now the ability seems weak, and going by how the game is developed and how power level progresses, I think by the time this leader has any sort of like a real strength, it's already going to be overshadowed by the power creep of other leaders in the future sets. So yeah, I would rate it pretty lowly, like 3 or 4 out of 10.
I think I would give him 5, but just out of hope. Okay. Tell us about Inazuma, Kramer.
So Inazuma, this is the alternate for Hannibal, yeah. Inazuma is a 6 cost 7k with a counter of 1k. Impel Down Revolutionary Army character that says end of your turn, if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, draw 2 cards. So Impel Down obviously has some relevance to the Magellan leader we just saw, but mainly it's a direct piece of support for
Ivankov.
For the Bull Emporio Ivankov from OPO2, whose leader ability reads, if you have no cards in hand, draw up to 2. And then if you have this on board as well, I actually tested against this a bit, you draw up to 4, and now suddenly your 0 cards in hand become 4, which is insanely powerful. But even then, even if you're not on, if you're on 1 card, you still draw 2, so you go to 3. It's like, this is the type of support that like can be immediately impactful because you can just play him and get the effect at the end of your turn. It's just really, really strong. Like, this effectively reads 6 cost 7k, draw 2 cards in a deck that's built to play around it, because you're always going to get that in the end of turn. It's not going to die before the end of your turn, and you can afford to play around him and play on curve. And when you do that, this is just on a base level, very, very strong card. Like, obviously there are issues tied to how that playstyle
can be abused.
Is because you basically play off the top of your deck. Whatever you draw, and you hope that's enough. And that can be abused. That is somewhat of a flawed playstyle to begin with. But this is the type of effect, the type of card that really, really strengthens, that really gives power to that playstyle. I decided to not go for the difficult to pronounce word. It's tactics. But yeah, it lets you draw more cards, and it needs to be dealt with, because if it's not dealt with the first time around, it's just going to keep doing it.
Yep.
So this is like the type of power level for a niche archetype that I really like, and is really, really strong. And I'm honestly, I want to say 8 out of 10, but I'm thinking I want to give it more. Like, the card just feels so good for what it does.
Low-key, yes. Like, whenever I'm thinking of a blue deck, like, sure, it's Ivankov support. I completely agree. Dude, I kind of want to jam it in my decks, including blue. Like, if you can play around it, like, sure, you don't have to play like a 4 of it. But we come to a late game situation. I have it in hand. I have like, I don't know, 3 or 4 life. You're swinging 5s. I can just counter the 5s, stay at high life, drop this, recover, and what? Now you literally have to remove this. Because if you don't, I'll just counter out with the cards and draw back up when it's my turn. Like, what other card provides so much value?
And he's a very relevant stat line. Like 7k
Exactly.
attacker is, that's already a level where Black Yellow Wolfie boosts once and it's not enough. He's still hitting, so.
I agree. 8 almost feels too low for this card. Like, if you think about it, what other card is a body which also draws 2 cards? It's Reiju. It's probably the strongest purple card. We talked about Queen, but effectively, Reiju is the strongest card. Purple. You don't agree?
No. So I found out how much the alt art of this card is worth, and going by the price of that, I think this card is going to be featured on Diamond and Rough sometime in the future.
Okay.
Why is the alt art under 10 euros?
Dude.
I mean, I know it's not a popular archetype, but this card...
I can sense Clout Chasing, whatchamacallit,
market manipulation.
Yeah, Wall Street bets, and so forth. Don't mind me. I'll definitely treat myself to some alt art in Azumas. Anyways, back to topic. So for Reiju, you have to fulfill 2 conditions. You have to both have equal or less done, so you have to minus yourself, which sometimes can be a really big issue, especially if your opponent is not cooperative with that. Hashtag to all my exactly. Hashtag to all my Reiju brothers trying to survive through red purple laws. Like my heart goes out to you.
Roberto in the online regional last week gets top 16. Should have been top 8, but he got cheated by the white dude on stream. And then today he goes 1-2 because he needs 2 red purple laws. So
yeah, he
beat 1, but he lost to like Nami getting instant triggers. But he met 2 red purple laws as Reiju in first 3 rounds.
Anyways, this is far more manageable. Like, you can put yourself in a position where you have 2 or less cards in hand. That's just a fact, right? And the fact that it's repeatable, oh my god. Like,
and it has a counter! Like...
can we agree on a 9?
Yeah.
9 for Inazuma. Next card is Edward Weevil. Is it your turn or my turn?
Your turn.
Okay. Edward Weevil, the supposed son of Edward Newgate. He's a 4-cost 6k with a non-play of draw card. And he has, very importantly, the Sever Worlds of the Sea typing. Well, this card would have been bunkers in OP01. Now, paying 4 just to draw a card, there's a card which reminds me of that. That's a Kuzan. Kuzan is a bunkers card. Dude, I don't know if you know, but I cut Kuzan from my Treasure Cup winning deck. Do you have to say more? Like, Kuzan is so much stronger than Edward Weevil, and I cut it. Because it's a non-counter card, which forces you to play on board, does nothing. These kind of cards are great when your opponent is doing nothing. When basically they're letting you have your fun. And then you're like, oh, I play this, I draw, blah, blah, blah. But if they are developing the board and you have to answer it, if they're playing the game, these kind of cards are just, in this point of the game, too slow. Okay, rant over. Basically, the only way this card is seeing play is in the Flamingo, where you can get it from top. Usually one of the high points of that deck, the thing you can hit, was Gecko Moria Vanilla, right? Because the fact that you get them rested is kind of bad, because they will just keep hitting into... Ooh, I keep throwing dots. They just will keep hitting into those units, right, instead of your life. And there's only a limited amount of time you can counter units on board. However, getting a 6k feels awesome, because usually they're not going to attack into it, right? So getting a Gecko, which was a vanilla, back in the day, felt really awesome. Getting a Gecko and a card, insane. Well, not really. Like, it's still about it that did nothing. Sure, you kind of cheated it out. Sure.
It's like a scuffed hogback. So
Yeah. But to play hogback, you have to discard a card. This literally nets you a card, right? You just pay 3 Dawn, you swing 7, you get this guy and a card. I mean, if I tell you that, sure, it sounds insane. But technically, you still have a credit of 1 card. You probably lost a card to play Piranha to set this up, right? So you still have to get that 1 card back. All in all, card, middling power level. Archetype, relatively weak. However, pretty strong interaction, not gonna lie. So I would end up on something like a 5 or a 6. Like, even though I rambled so hard, drawing cards is still kind of insane in the game. The fact that it doesn't have a counter really brings it down. Typing makes for some great synergies. I don't know. I'm struggling here. Something between a 5 and a 6. What about you?
Okay. I think the card sucks. If your deck plays this card and it's like a good card in the deck, then your deck sucks as well.
For example,
why?
I remembered the ulti. You remember the 4-cost ulti?
Yeah, that's the card I was going to talk about now, but sure, you can do...
Basically...
And I'll do it, okay. Okay, you do it.
Ulti loses 1k power, gives you a counter, and gives you so much more than just a card draw. She lets you pick the best card out of the 3 ones, and the other 2... I mean, we featured it for a reason in Diamond and Rough. The other 2, it's almost like you soft drew them. As in, if you need them, you can keep them. If you don't need them, you can put them on the bottom, which is almost like drawing a card, because you're drawing a relevant card, right? And that card is still not getting played.
Well, she does have the restriction.
Sure, you have to be a multicolor leader, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's not fair to compare a card which is like locked to something and something which is generic. Fair. All I'm trying to say is you should consider... That should frame the power level of this card, right? If the cards which are comparable to power or even more powerful than this one, not getting played. So basically, you really have to do something extra to make this card playable, which is Doffy. Sorry.
So I think this is like the weaker version of, basically a little Walmart version of a card that like Doffy already has access to, the Gecko Moria from the starter deck, right? The one that returns any... what's the name? Warlords of the Sea to the hand.
Or
like,
Thriller Bark.
This is
if we ever get.
Does he also return? Okay, I never paid attention.
If you ever get blue black, get back some of them Morias.
Yeah. Point being, you already had that card exist, and it's strictly better because you can decide what you add from your trash back to hand. This is a random draw, maybe a setup draw for which you had to pay. Otherwise, the stat line, like it doesn't matter that much, but Gecko Moria has a counter, and this does not have a counter. So yeah, oh no, I just think this card is not very good. Like I'd give it a 4 out of... like it's better than stuff like Bull Page 1, but it's like that's such a low bar to cross that I remain unimpressed.
Sadly. Yep.
Next up is Hamlet, Animal Kingdom Pirates / Smile. Tariko's 4K with the 1000 counter. If you have 4 or less cards in your hand, all your Smile type characters gain 1000 power. So this is like I'm trying to remember what the Whitebeard Pirates guy was called.
Rakugo maybe? Something with the R, for sure.
In any case, card sucks. First of all, the condition of having 4 cards or less in hand is directly, what's the word I'm looking for? Anti-synergistic with any low power characters, because once they swing, you cannot defend them. And if he's not swinging, like, you're not really drawing that much value.
And it's a
by
static
default,
effect on both of your turns.
Oh, okay. No, it still sucks.
It
I
stacks.
think it still sucks. It's a 3-cost 5k vanilla. Like, sure, if that's what you want to play around for, it's fine. But yeah, I don't know.
I think what you're missing is the full picture, and that is there's some funny smile support. You have the 2-cost event, which basically searches top 5 cards and puts into play a 3-cost, so kind of cheating Dawn. Then there's a 3-cost 5k, I think it's Dawn -1. You play another 3-cost or lower smile type character. And there's quite a few, I think I counted like, you can play around 20, either 3-cost vanilla smiles or with some kind of effect. So there is a potential of like some super crazy balls to the wall spam 5k attackers smile thingy. So I kind of don't want to discount it as aggro strategies in every game can sometimes be super problematic.
Yeah, but the way aggro works in this game is that you, the aggressor, usually try to have a big hand so that you can defend your units with.
Yep,
because
true.
you're focusing on board so much. And then this is like completely anti-synergistic because you need to be 4 or less cards in hand.
True.
So you're almost guaranteed to lose whatever board you tap. So
Agreed. In preparation
like
for
on
this,
paper,
I
it can
actually
be good
just
numbers,
checked
but
the full package, and it actually looks kind of funny and almost something interesting. But yes, you're completely right. Basically, Zoro was really, really good because you could have taken like 2 hits easily, constantly have like 7-ish cards in hand, and then you just defend your Raj Zoro and you beat them down, right? What do you want to give Hamlet?
I guess just because of the numbers looking good, I'll say 4 out of 10. But my heart, just because of how bad the playstyle it promotes is, would give it lower. But let's say 4 because of the numbers.
Basically, playstyle would be just vomit your hand on the board and hope that it's enough. Like, doesn't sound good, but it could be. I agree with the 4. However, okay, 4 tricks is a vanilla, and the next card is
it's a smile vanilla. Okay,
Prince Bellet. He's a 2-cost, 2k, with a 2000 power. He has a Dawn. When attacking, if you have 1 or less cards in your hand, return up to 1 character with a cost of 3 or less to its owner's hand. My god. So I have to play this guy? I have to give him a Dawn? I have to have 1 or less cards in hand? And then it bounces a 3-cost? What? Like, what? I mean, in yellow, we have Sanji, which, sure, for 2 Dawn, but for 2 Dawn, he's an attacker. He draws your card.
Okay, but he's not a... Oh, he's a 2k. Wait a minute.
Yeah. You have to jump through so many hoops to get a decent effect. I mean, we previously discussed, sure, 2k counters are great when they're situational. The problem with this guy is, I don't want my cards to be situational and not have an on-play. Like, I have to play this card, and I hope that he's relevant next turn. And the moment I play him, I lost tempo value. I lost my house, man. Sure, it's a 2k. Impel down 2k.
Yeah.
Sure. But, I mean, still a 2k, so 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing I was saying about Sanji. When the typing is relevant for a 2k, it doesn't matter how bad it is,
Sure.
and this is pretty bad. Its copies 5 to 8. You have the bone clays from OPO2, and now you have 4 of these. So, in a deck such as Ivankov, bless you, in a deck such as Ivankov that's so reliant on countering out so heavily, having these extra searchable 2ks, it helps. Like, it's a nice piece of support. nothing like particularly amazing. Probably 4 out of 10. Like as a card, 5 out of 10 just because it's a 2K. But among other 2Ks, it's actually probably even worse than 4. It's like really bad. But yeah, it has a relevant type, so that's all it needs. And also, abominable art, now that I look at it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the worst parts of One Piece art back in OP1, right?
Yeah.
The cards that people saw and were like, guys, do you really like this game? Anyways, moving on to better things.
Next up, Mr. One does Bones, which I believe has an altar.
Oh yeah, he does. Damn right he does.
Okay. So he's a 5-cost 6K, 1000 counter, Baroque Works. If your leader's type includes Baroque Works, he gains plus 1k power for every 2 events in trash, and on play he draws 2 and trashes 1 card from hand. So, like already, the fact that he gets the free Queen effect on play, like no Don minus attached or anything, obviously he's not a blocker.
Very relevant.
But, like, straight up gets value, because draw 2, trash 1 is much better than just draw 1.
Especially in this game, because there's no non-counter cards in hand, which are deadly if you cannot get rid of them.
And obviously there's just generally synergy pieces which can exist, especially when you combine this with some other colors. The power buff, depending on the number of fans that you have in trash, is... I would say they're mainly looking at the blue-purple crocodile from OP01, where they're turning their eyes to with this effect. It's like a nice bonus. It makes him, at the very worst case of vanilla, assuming you... Because that deck plays a lot of like cheap events. It's not the main part of the card, in my opinion. It's just having a relevant stat line that does present a threat, because 5 plus 7k. And then he also replaces himself in hand in the nicest possible way, where he lets you filter unnecessary copies of cards. So yeah, I just think it's by default a pretty strong card. Nothing insane, but yeah, relevant stat line, a good on play. That's pretty much what you want to have to make sure that the card sees play, especially in current removal heavy metas. Because I don't think those will be going away. Like the more spoilers we get, the more it seems like removal is the name of the game, and some of that removal is going to be power based. So this card will have a surprising amount of resilience to specific decks like Red Purple or just Ace, anything that removes
based on power.
So yeah, like solid 7 out of 10.
I really want to believe it's a 7 out of 10. The black still hurts me. Black has a color, right? Dude, if this guy had plus 1k power and plus 1 cost for every 2 events in your trash, then we're talking,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we look at cost-based removal being dominant, then yeah, this is...
But that's the thing, like, currently at least, cost-based removal is the name of the game. Literally. And it doesn't matter how big this guy is, if he's just a 5 cost and gets killed by, I don't know.
Yeah, but we're trying to evaluate cards based on their own merit.
I agree. And usually. His merit, because the game changed, there's quite a lot of removal based on cost. And with that fact in mind, we just cannot value just big bodies that highly, right? Because this guy is just a big body. He's not giving you anything more than that.
Well, yeah, he is a big body that replaces itself in hand.
Yep. Even though, I don't know, I fell in love with this card ever since we saw it back way early. Mainly because...
He's bold. I know.
No. Blue-Purple Luffy, Blue-Purple Crocodile was probably the first deck I fell in love with. And I tried to build in the game. And I really like the idea of having a control deck with spells, like events, doing something. The problem is that, yes, events are kind of weak in One Piece. Weak-ish. Because all your counter is on your characters. So you have to have a lot of characters to counter attacks, because attacks are gonna happen in every game of One Piece.
Except Nami Mirror.
Fair. So, dude, how do Nami Mirrors even work? I've never played that.
You just Kaya, and then Arabesque Breakfast, and then Zeph, and then Kaya again, and you keep it going.
Sounds horrible. Anyways, cool card. I think he's a 6, but 7 for sentimental value.
All right.
How about Gum Gum Champion Rifle? Any cities out?
Oh, no, it's your turn.
Okay. So Gum Gum Champion Rifle is an Impel Down Strawhead Crew. Pretty cool typing. 1 cost counter. And it's one of the more interesting ones, which feels strong, but I feel like is super weak. It says if your leader has the Impel Down type, so very little locked, up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 2k power. So it's basically a 2k counter, which is bad. Like, paying Dawn to have a 2k? No. So what do you get for that? Well, your opponent returns one of their active characters to their owner's hand. The trigger is you return a 3 cost to the bottom, your bottom deck at 3 cost, which is pretty cool. The problem here is, if your opponent, our opponent really has to be very cooperative for this to work, right? They can first attack with the character. They can just play a searcher, and now this card is dead. This card is negative value.
It helps them.
So it has to be an active character. And then they get the choice. There's so many things that can go wrong. Sure, there's a guy that KOs 1 cost characters in Impel Down. The purple one, I don't know what's his name is.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, if you can curate a board state where you clear all their little stuff. I mean, the card is the high roll potential is there. If they have 2 relatively big bodies and you bounce one of them back, that's decent value, right? How reliably can you do that? Very unreliably. And having a non-counter card, which my opponent has to play into, not where I want to be. It still has some pretty strong, funny potential, but I'm having such a hard time giving it more than a 4. What about you?
Yeah, currently, I mean, purely based on the selection of Impel Down leaders we have, this card is pretty garbage. What I think it needs to be good at some point in the future is it needs an Impel Down leader, ideally in a shared color with blue, that is very removal based.
Yes.
It doesn't have to necessarily be with black. Obviously, blue plus black would be ideal color combination. But green can be removal based, purple obviously as well, but that's just not what we have to work with right now. And then you can look to possibly set up scenarios where this card is good.
Yeah, but even if you remove shit, you can just play it from hand. And now what?
No, the problem is that they can if you leave them with one relevant character, they can just attack the character first. That's the biggest drawback to the card, and then you just lose all the value. So card is far too limited in its applications, and your opponent really needs to be helping you. It's something that a player can maybe get caught out by once, and they're never going to make the mistake again.
Yep.
And that's just cards like that are really bad. So yeah, I'm even surprised by the 4. I'm thinking 3.
Possibly, yeah. But
there's
sure,
other stars that need to align.
I can see situations where the card is kind of cool, but
against the Nell. But
for example,
I don't think buying time against the Nell and returning one of his Yamatos is going to do much good.
Agreed. Okay, how about Sorry I'm a Goner?
Sorry I'm a Goner.
Goner?
How do you actually pronounce
Goner?
Goner? I'm gone? Goner. Yeah, I'm gone. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps the real discussion should be had about this card's name. Why is it not just sorry, I'm dead, or I'm about to die? Was it really translated like this?
I don't know.
Anyways, 1 cost counter event, reveal 1 card from top of the deck. If the reveal card has cost 4 or more, return up to 1 of your characters to the owner's hand. Then place the reveal card at the bottom of your deck. And as a trigger, return 1 character with cost 8 or less to the owner's hand. So, the effect is awful. Straight up -1. If you were to play this card, it would be for the trigger. It's kind of like, when you think of cards that have triggers like this, you might remember Impel Down.
All-Stars?
No, All-Stars is the one that draws 2, I think. What's the one that Ivan draws? Deathwing, yeah. Deathwing has the bounce 7 cost trigger. So if you're in the market for that type of trigger to impact your opponent's board, I think you just go Deathwing because it's actually playable from your hand in a pinch, like plus 6k, maybe draw some cards. This is a conditional. Maybe you return an actual character with counter to your hand. Maybe. If the right thing is on top of your deck, maybe you get the card back. But otherwise you're setting up to just minus yourself. So this card is like certified awful. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Take over, Kristian.
Maybe some saving grace in Nami. Like, Nami would really like this effect to bounce, I don't know, Morias or something.
But you need a 4-cost character on top of your deck.
Just a trigger.
Oh no, just the card. Okay.
Yeah,
but Nami has no 4-cost cards in deck.
In a way, you just play it as a whatchamacallit? Similar as to Impel Down. It's basically a blank card, but it has a strong trigger. And I mean, we're getting multiple colored cards, so if you get yellow and you can like cheat it somehow into your life,
but then you just do that with that. Like Queen can do this. Queen can set this up, but why would he do that over like the Raging Blade Gravity Tiger or?
No, I agree. I'm just dreaming of potential uses, but
I don't want to talk about this card, Kristian.
That's fair. How about
This is the type of card we're not supposed to waste time on.
True.
That's why our podcasts are all infinite duration.
But they're still enjoyable. At least we hope so. 2 out of 10.
1 out of 10, like 0 out of 10. It's like one of the worst cards since Komurasaki in OP01.
Possibly. The trigger is kind of sweet. Anyways.
Okay, 1 out of 10. You can it's not right. A 0.
Okay, Lookdown is an East Blue stage. Cost 2, has a trigger to play it, and has an activate main. You may place this card and 1 other card from your hand to the bottom of your deck in any order to draw 2 cards. And I'm baffled by this deck, by this card. I saw some of our local players looking for it, and I'm like, am I not seeing anything? What's up with this card? It basically cycles 2 cards for 2 done. Sure, you can get it from trigger, but I'm really having trouble with this card.
It has the Moby Dick trigger. Insane.
True. Moby Dick definitely has the same trigger. I don't know. The card's kind of mid. I don't want to spend on to fix my hand.
Yeah, just there's so many bull bodies already that have this same effect attached effectively, but you keep the body, like draw 2, discard 1, or draw 2, discard 2. We just had an example of draw 2, discard 1. So yeah, this is just a strictly worse card because it's an effect that already exists, but solo on a standalone card. You're just wasting Dawn. So save yourself the trouble.
Yep, agreed. My younger sister came here. And we had grandma before. You might even see my whole family during this podcast. Anyways, that will be all for today's EB01 review. We will not leave you, however, without giving you a diamond in the rough. So, Herva, would you be so kind to introduce our diamond, and then we can let our people rest?
Yeah, so once again, we are bringing to you a green event diamond in the rough, because those seem to be a success. Maybe this one will be as well. It's Shark Arrows from OP06. It's a 2-cost green event, Fishman and new Fishman Pirates type, with main effect KO up to 2 of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 3 or less, and then trigger is just to activate that same ability. So I want to start from the trigger just because it's kind of interesting. It reminds of the Paradise Waterfall early on in the game's history, but potentially taking out 2 units, which is quite a bit deadlier. Waterfall went up to 4 cost, of course, but that at the time wasn't very relevant. Nowadays it might be. In any case, we always say it, events which take out 2 of your opponent's cards, or like cards which deal with 2 of opponent's cards, they're the stuff to look out for. They're the stuff that can like blow games out of the water. And we have an event kind of similar to this in the meta already. It's Ama no Murakumo Sword, aka the lightsaber, which is quite a bit less impressive, takes out a 2 cost and a 1 cost. This can take out up to 3 costs, but they have to be rested. And that's like that condition, which when attached is a bit tricky. But once again, we're thinking of the synergies. Even unlike lightsaber, this card can potentially be played in a pure green deck. If you have a deck that can easily rest opponent's units, and there's a focus on 3 cost units in the meta. Currently that's not the case. Currently 4 cost units are the name of the game. But in the meta more heavy on 3 costs, this can be very playable in a pure green deck. It has like a few relevant typings. It's searchable by Kami and maybe by some other card that I'm forgetting. That's piece of Fishman support. But also you can just combine it with the black deck. It's not leader locked, so if you have like an Ice Age, a Kuzan, like with an Ice Age, this takes out a rested 3 cost and an 8 cost, which is something that Perona can very easily abuse.
Yep.
And yeah, obviously there's a bunch of other synergies with black color that I'm sure most of our viewers are already familiar with because of Sakazuki's existence, so I won't go on too long. Point is, there's plenty of scenarios to make use of this double KO.
Yep. I think that our viewers are probably very intimately aware of the concept we are talking and preaching for quite a while now. Ever since we saw Fire Fist, right? Whenever you KO 2 things with a single card, danger, 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 like that's where you can spin the game around. And now that you've played quite a while with lightsabers, I hope you all viewers more familiarize yourself with that concept. And Shark Arrows,
yeah, like
is very close to that. Like, it has far bigger reach. Like, for lightsaber, you kind of have to really work for it to remove 2 important bodies, right? And, dude, you just have Arrest Hina, okay? I'm playing Perona. I Ice Age your Moria. Leader ability, Rest your Moria. Boom. Hina Moria. I just needed an Ice Age in this card, right? And I outed 2 very relevant bodies that you can definitely see in a game, right? A Hina and a Moria. Like, it's not that crazy to see the potential of this card. And I really believe that it's probably going to find the biggest home in Perona, especially as she can both...
Or Isha, like Isha with the blanket,
Mm-hmm.
one cost reduces.
Like, the 1 cost reducers are pretty great, especially in this 4 cost heavy meta. And if you can get free rest, like, you reduce it, it's in range, you just rest it, now it's eligible as a target, boom. Not much else to say. Like, definitely, I feel like you both need, ideally, it's either a 3 cost heavy meta, as you said, or you have an easy way to reduce cost. And Perona has both. She can both reduce the cost, and she can for free rest stuff. We're actually kind of surprised that this card is not seeing play. Maybe it's too awkward. Maybe it doesn't fit the turns and so forth. But it's swords in disguise, and swords win games.
Yeah, that was very short and sweet about this card. I think it's one of those cards that's so simple and very self-explanatory, and it has like a lot of already existing cards in the meta which are easy to compare to, notably Lightsaber. And, it's kind of clear what we're getting at. Like, this card, like, it has double the reach of Lightsaber by default.
Yep. And
then you can just build up on that. So, it's biding its time, I think, to just be a complete menace for the meta.
As lightsabers are now. Okay. And with that, we bring another show to a close.
On this very happy day, we'll try to upload this ASAP, but this was a very good day. Kristian with the victory, me with the top 16, ending the drought of very poor results in OPS.
So the clout you got can carry you for a long while. Like,
yeah.
I'm not worried about you. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you had a lovely time. Tell us what you like, what you didn't like. Tell us what you think about Shark Arrows. Tell us what you think about our takes. Share your own, and so on and so on. Join our Discord. That's where you can find us. If you want to ask any question, which we'll answer either there or in the podcast. And with that, we bid you farewell. See you at the latest next Wednesday. Bye-bye.